like to welcome everybody to the Military Survival Guide, How to Succeed in a Virtual Environment, brought to you by New Mexico State Global Campus. So my name's Mike Chandler, so I'm an academic advisor for military and veteran student population at New Mexico State. I'm happy to be here. I'm from El Paso, so it's a real honor to be in the position that I am and doing the work that I do. So this is the agenda for our presentation today. So I'll do a quick intro to why we're doing this presentation. I'll introduce myself and my background. We have a couple of polls that add a little bit of flavor to the learning environment. We'll talk about pace setting, personal growth, email etiquette. We'll talk a little bit about networking, developing SMART goals, and then have this piece called How Not to Plagiarize, which is extremely important and extremely relevant in your academic career. So the purpose of this presentation, so who is this seminar for? So really we're looking at military and non-military affiliated freshman students, and also students who have maybe taken a break and are getting rolling to doing school again and kind of need a refresher on some of the important aspects of learning virtually. What are you going to get out of this seminar? So one, you're going to understand the importance of really developing a master plan of your next 4 to 5 years and pacing yourself while dealing with external sources like family, friends, and so on and so forth. We're also going to push your personal growth throughout this process. We're going to give you tips on how to communicate via email and Canvas. We're going to talk about networking and how it's vital for your professional career to actually start networking now. So that way, when you're in your professional environment after New Mexico State, you're basically a veteran of, networking online or networking in person. And then we're going to talk about SMART goals. So SMART goals like a millionaire. So when we're talking about a goal, it's more than just a one line or one sentence goal. So we'll dive into that. And then how not to plagiarize. Got some helpful resources for that. So this is me and my family. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the family. So my 2 kids, Colette is 10 years old and my son Elijah is 12 years old. They both go to school and reside in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And then my fiance Tiffany is a student with New Mexico State Global. I was a student in New Mexico State back in the day, and I graduated in 2008 with the bachelor's in sociology. I joined the Army right after, commissioned as an air defense artillery officer. In 2015, I got my first master's degree from the University of Oklahoma. And then recently, I finished my master's in business administration in 2023. And then I did my whole military career is 12 years, and I spent 7 years overseas. And now, so I am the like I said, military and veteran advisor. I also advise non-military affiliated students, really in business and social sciences, like sociology, criminal justice. So rules of engagement for this seminar. So one, just call me Mike, call me Chandler. You can ask questions at any time. So I have my boss, Dr. Jody Kenny, monitoring the chat. So if you just raise your virtual hand and type questions out in chat, that's cool too. Or just interrupt me. I don't mind. We're all learning. It's no problem. And then videos and cameras are encouraged, but they're not necessary. We're at lunchtime, so if you're eating a Subway sandwich and you want to have your camera off, that's cool. Don't worry about it. All right, so we're gonna do our first poll. So let me start that up. It's called introvert versus extrovert. So just to kind of go over, like introvert, some of the characteristics of an introvert would be kind of a shy, prefers time in solitude, avoids being the center of attention. They think before they speak. They develop close one-on-one relationships, and they prefer some of this time alone to recharge. An extrovert would be somebody who really like gets a lot of energy, loves to have this like large social network, enjoys being the center of attention, thinks out loud, prefers large groups, and then like we were just saying, gains energy from being around people. So what we're going to do in the poll, we're basically going to try to determine what the class is kind of leaning towards. So let me go ahead and discuss the results. So we got 100% answered. We have 3 out of the 6. So we actually got 3 out of the 6 that are leaning more towards introverted characteristics. And then we have another 3 that are kind of in the middle of introverted and extroverted. So pretty interesting, because when we're thinking about being an introvert, being an extrovert, when you're starting your academic career, you're going to be placed in situations where you kind of have to develop a little bit of an extrovert kind of mindset. You're going to be kind of placed in groups, and you're going to be forced to do presentations, virtual presentations in front of folks. And it's going to be hard because some of us have never done a presentation in our lives. And when you're placed in that situation, what the whole idea behind it is, we're trying to get you to grow, right? If you do this now while you're in an academic setting, which is a safe setting, this is going to help you in your professional setting when it really counts. In line with your academic career, school is a marathon, all in all, okay? If you look at the slide, it's a really busy slide. So we're starting from the left, working our way to the right. So when you start out as a first-year freshman, you're starting to get into these introductory level classes, right? You're starting to learn the flow of how to register for classes, how classes look on Canvas, what's required out of your assignments. You're getting the hang of things. Also, you're being introduced to people that are going to help you along the way. For instance, we have a student success mentor, Stephen. He's actually in the room right now. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. Appreciate you. They're going to help you along the way. And I have Shelby Sears is also on as well. She does the career service coordination for NMSU Global. They're going to help you along the way. So when you're a freshman, reach out to these folks, or these folks are going to reach out to you, right? And develop a relationship with them from the get-go. And it's going to pay dividends in the long run, because you'll know these folks for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years as you're going through your degree. And it's going to be extremely important, especially when you're starting to look for a job. Shelby's there. You already developed a relationship with her for 4 or 5 years. And then Stephen is helping you along the way, dealing with any challenges that you may have with curriculum or maybe in life. And that's what we're here for. So as a sophomore, your classes are starting to get a little bit more specialized. You're starting to also finish off your intro classes. You have your family and friends, something I didn't mention as in your first year, but your family and friends are always going to be there. And there's always going to be some type of maybe event that your family is going to be, have like a family gathering, which is extremely important to attend. Family emergencies, you got to be there. You just have to, or you have a family of your own, and you're going to have events for your kids, soccer games, soccer practice, school events. Some of us, we're working as we go to school. I worked full time as I went to school full time, and you probably are too. And so work is another animal because, if you're doing 40 hours or if you're doing 40 hours a week, maybe you're working, 8 hours a day. And at the end of your 8 hours, now you're transitioning to, your parent. You got your parent hat on now, talking to the kids for dinner, making dinner. And then after that, now you got to put on your student hat, and try to finish off that evening doing homework, or however your schedule looks like. Then we still have, the mentorship happening. You still have your career services dialogue with Shelby. You're trying to explore these different subjects through your curriculum. You're starting to adapt a little bit better, get in the groove of things. You're being more involved in your classes and your class discussions because you're starting to gain that confidence. And then you still have everything else that's, affecting you externally. As a junior, your classes are going to get a little bit more challenging in some cases. You're going to start doing these upper division courses, and a lot of times they're going to be a lot more interesting because this is your degree now. Like, you're doing upper division courses in criminal justice now. You're doing upper division courses in business, and you're diving into marketing and all that good stuff. So family and friends are still going to be there. You still got work if you're doing work, and then all the other things that we talked about, right? But now we're starting to get into this prep where we're going to have to transition extremely fast. And you're going to have to start prepping for your career. You're going to have to start building your resume, starting to network. Like, network is like extremely crucial now. Like, you should have, already done it for the first 2 years of your academic career, but now it's extremely crucial because pretty soon you're going to need letters of recommendation. Maybe you're going to grad school, or you have the intent to go to grad school or law school or something like that. Networking is going to get you the contacts that you need to do that. And then as a senior, you're finishing up your upper division courses, still got the family and friends and work. Now you have to apply for graduation, doing the networking, capping that off, and then you're finalizing your resume, and then you graduate. And applying for jobs, that's through the whole year or half the year, however your timeline looks like. Or maybe you just wanted to, just finish your degree and then you're going to transition to applying for jobs. But now the chart on the bottom right. So if you're considering doing full time, this is kind of like this, like kind of a standardized or generalized, we'll just say, recommended study time. So when we have a 3 credit hour class, that's one class typically, your in-class study time is going to be typically about 3 hours. So this is kind of like you're in Canvas, maybe you're looking at a lecture, or you're trying to figure out what to do as far as your assignment goes. Then you have another 6 hours of study time throughout that week, maybe, right? 6 hours, maybe you need a little bit more time, right? So let's just say right now, nominal, you're looking at 9 hours total for one class for the week, right? If you're doing a full-time, let's just say you maxed out full-time, you want to finish your degree as quick as possible, and you're doing part-time work or something like that. In-class study time for the week, looking at lectures, etc., 18 hours. Study time, 36. So your total for that week is 54 hours, right? So that's a huge chunk, because at the bottom, in a week, there's 168 total hours for that week. So just something to consider when you're talking to your academic advisor, and they might be, tugging on you and saying, hey, you might want to consider maybe going 12 hours or something like that, because your course, you're taking a stats course and it's going to be a little bit more intensive for you or something like that. Just consider that. All right, so we have a video. So this is a video on failure. So the topic is basically, is failure good? Okay, so I'll just go over kind of like the brief. So Giannis is talking about that the reporter asks him, what do you think, you lost? Like, this is the season's a failure. And he's asking him, do you think the season is basically a failure? And so Giannis's response was, hey, even though we lost and we didn't do well, what we're doing is we're trying to get to success, right? So we're failing, but this is like a step towards our goal, towards winning, towards doing what we're trying to win for the season. Okay, so that was the basis of the video. Not sure what was going on with the share, but what we're going to do another poll. This is the last poll of this seminar. So the question is, are you afraid to fail? We've got half on yes and half on no. Would anybody like to share what the response was?
Sure, I'll go, Mike. Hi, this is Steven. No, I'm not afraid to fail. I've failed many a time, and it just kind of teaches you what you're good at and what you're not good at, and then how best to proceed thereafter.
Awesome. Thanks, Steven. I appreciate that.
Hi, this is Jody. I was just going to say, you're always going to have bumps in the road, but each step is a small step to success, and continue to move forward, because those little successes, you'll continue to believe in yourself more and more. And with your support system that you have here with NMSU Global and your advisors, they will help guide you and help you build that confidence, and it will build upon itself to graduation.
Awesome. Thank you for that comment. So failure is definitely a part of learning. All of us fail at some point. CEOs, leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, all have experienced failure of some sort. But it's what we do. It's what we do after we fail. So that really counts. All right. So I have a little story. So this is the Netflix co-founder. His name is Mark Randolph. So a story that he shared in a presentation was that Netflix was actually thinking about selling themselves to Blockbuster. So when they went to a meeting with Blockbuster, so this is the time, this is when Blockbuster was just like every single corner had a Blockbuster. This is a time when you would go with your family and you go out on a Friday night and you pick out, 2 or 3 movies, and movies were just not in demand in terms of like readily in demand. Like right now I can go watch Rambo 1, 2, and 3 on my TV, or just like right now. But, this is just a different time. So it's a different market. So when Mark Randolph did the pitch, hey, we want to sell Netflix to you for $50 million, US dollars. Blockbuster and the execs were like, no, like we're on every single quarter. Like you gotta be kidding. And this whole digital thing, it's not going to work out. Right. So Blockbuster missed out big time. So if you don't know, I believe they have one store right now, brick and mortar, that's still going. But right now, and I checked this last week, but Netflix is worth over $171 billion. So that's that's just a huge miss for Blockbuster. But this is that resilience, right? This is the practice and try again. So even though Mark Randolph was laughed out of this room with peers, because these are all upper level management executives. That didn't stop Netflix, right? And so, through that time of 15 years or so since that pitch, maybe even 20 years since that pitch, they developed this, something that we use, personally I use, I'm sure y'all use it too, and it's awesome. And maybe you have other opinions, but they are very profitable and they're doing well. So just some tips if you experience failure in some degree, small, big, medium size, practice and try again. Be resilient, bounce back. That's a very common trend, especially in the military, because it's very challenging. So if you're resilient and you're bouncing back and you keep trying, you're developing yourself by doing that. Seek some coaching, seek out some mentorship, which we'll get into later on in the presentation. Again, establish some SMART goals. We'll talk about that later. And then this is another thing. So reevaluate your options, right? So if I'm taking, the first level math, let's just say college algebra, I'm taking it. I fail. I retake it for the next semester. I fail again, like miserably, and I'm trying. So I'm going to have to reevaluate my options. Maybe I need a remedial math to start out with, so that way I'm comfortable and I'm learning kind of like the foundation or something. So that would be a strategy to reevaluate your options. And then also kind of consider your strengths. So if I'm going into a degree plan, let's say I'm pre-med and I'm going into a biology degree plan, and I cannot pass genetics or something like that. Maybe that's just not for me. No matter how much I try, no matter how many classes I sign up for, and I'm getting C's, which is, the GPA, my GPA is at, less than a 2.5. Okay, so med school is probably not going to happen. It most likely won't happen unless I make some dramatic change and I'm doing other things, extra, like volunteering and stuff like that. So, but I know in my heart that I'm extremely good at math and I'm extremely good at processes. So maybe like a degree change in engineering might be something that I would consider. Maybe business, accounting would be an option. So like play off your strengths and kind of evaluate yourself while you're going on to your academic career. All right, before I start, so this is a video on personal growth. So Bill Ekstrom is basically going to tell you why comfort will ruin your life. So the idea behind comfort, right? We're talking about this comfort zone, where these are zones of familiar, safe spaces where we tend to feel like at ease and in control, right? So this can be, you're going into your work area, workspace, or something like that, and you're used to, going into your cubicle or just going into your desk, checking your email while you're sipping on some coffee, and you go to the meeting that's on Monday, Monday meetings at like 9 a.m. or something like that. You say your spiel, and then you're done, right? There's no changes, there's no challenging questions. It's just kind of like this same thing that you do every time. And so there's no growth, there's no challenge that's pressuring you to develop yourself and challenge yourself to do different things. So he talks about that. As we kind of touched on earlier, throughout your academic career, you're going to be put in these personal growth situations. You're going to have to do a presentation that you've probably never done before. And it might be technical, it might not be, it might be easy, but you still got to do it. So these are going to be these opportunities to grow. And your personal growth will not stop. It's going to continue throughout your academic career. It's going to get a little bit more complex. And my advice is that you should be seeking these opportunities, especially now, to practice. Seek out your difficult tasks and challenging tasks now. Practice them, so that way when you're in a professional environment, you are well versed in giving presentations. You are well versed in how to deliver a pitch, your elevator pitch, when you're trying to get a job. And you're comfortable networking, and you're finding creative ways to meet human resources representatives for companies that you want to work for. Do that now while you can, instead of waiting until you're a job seeker now, and now you have to develop these skills rapidly. All right, so we're going to jump to communication. So this is an email to the left, right? It's just kind of a standard email. And then to the right, I've got Canvas. This is Canvas message. So when we're talking email, this is kind of, think about it, it's a short letter. What I recommend, this is the time to start practicing your correspondence and writing in a professional environment. As a student, you're a professional. And so in starting with the subject line, what we like to do, what we like to see, if you have a question, put question before your course or course number, subject, or and then kind of tell us what you have a question about. So in this case, we have an example. I've got a question. I'm enrolled in English 1110 Golf, and then my question is on paper 1. So when we're starting our paragraph, so start with a greeting. It can be greetings, Dr. Joey Snups, or greetings, Professor Joey Snups, or just greetings, Mike, greetings, Mr. Chandler. But start off with that greeting. Don't just start typing away and getting into the message. My recommendation is start off with the greeting. And you can even add, I hope your day is going well, or something like that of that nature. So then we're going to get kind of succinct in what we're asking about. So I noticed that the syllabus had 2 due dates for our next paper. Could you please clarify when paper 1 is going to be due? Pretty easy, 2 sentences. And then this is a signature block. So there are important items in the signature block as a student that whenever you're sending correspondence to an advisor, or just to an administrator, or to a professor or an instructor, we need your student ID. Please, student ID. There could be a Mike Chandler. There could be like 5 of them. And so when you put your name and that's about it, we don't know, like it just kind of helps us kind of hone in on who it is, and then gives us a quick reference on the student ID, because we need your student ID to look into your file and do things like that, instead of us having to go into our resources and then finding your student ID and going on with our business. So then what I like to do is I like to put my phone number, because if it's something that I can reach out and just give you a call or a text, because we have capability of doing text with the number that you provide on your record, I'd rather do that. So that way you get the info and you don't have to worry about checking your email and coming back, checking your email. You can get a text or a phone call from me or whoever you're trying to get a hold of. And it's available for me to do that rapidly. And then if you have an affiliation, maybe you're a veteran, maybe you're in a club that's represented in New Mexico State University, you put that on there. You know, this is something that your instructors or peers can see, and this is kind of like this networking kind of opportunity, right? Because if I'm a veteran, I see a veteran in class, we're going to talk, we're going to share some stories and just kind of introduce ourselves and stuff like that. So to the right, we've got the Canvas message. So this is a little bit less formal, right? Still informal. Emails can be formal, but they're also informal as well. But Canvas messages are kind of like a straight shot. But I still recommend, for one, still start out with the greeting. You can say, Professor so and so, Doctor so and so. This is an actual example that I did back in the day when I was going to school. I was taking a microbiology class, and I had a question about a question on an exam, and basically the answer was wrong, but what I put was right. So the instructor ended up answering back, and then they corrected the grade out of that. But I still use the format that I used in the email, and it's still professional. I tried to give them all of the information that I had. So I gave them the the question, right? And then I tried to do a screenshot of the graph. So that way you kind of see what, they're seeing while they're opening the message, what we're talking about. So tips, right? Always have a professional tone. The subject line is extremely important. It orients the reader. And these like instructors, advisors, they're reading like bulks of email. It's not just one or two emails. It's a lot of emails sometimes. So subject lines will orient the reader to what they're about to read. Try to add as much information as possible. And then I recommend screenshots or snippets of what you're talking about. It's helpful. All right, so networking. So we're jumping to an extremely important topic throughout your professional and academic career. Okay, so this is a quote from an article from Harvard Business Review, HBR for short. The article is called "Learn to Love Networking." Okay, and so the quote says, "I hate networking. We hear this all the time from executives, other professionals, and MBA students. They tell us that networking makes them feel uncomfortable and phony and even dirty." All right. So my thoughts are, for one, you're kind of in a situation where you're trying to maybe get some personal gain. Maybe you're forcing yourself to network because, hey, I need a letter of recommendation from Professor so-and-so, so that way I can go to grad school. Or I need a reference for this job with the government because I need a security clearance. And so when you're not developing a relationship and you kind of jump in, a situation, you're like, hey, I know we never talked before, but can you write this letter of recommendation for me? The answer is kind of like, well, I don't really know you. So if you're developing the relationship, like we talked about on the other slide where we show the progression from freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, you're developing the relationship already. So it's going to be easier for individuals that you're networking with throughout this career process to give you that letter of recommendation or the reference or so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So on the top left, we have kind of like, so when we're talking networking, we're kind of right now, we're talking coaches, we're talking mentors, and we're talking kind of peer networking. Okay. And that's like fellow students or fellow, veterans or so on and so forth. So a coach is going to drive you. They're going to kind of push you and give you the way on how you can get to where you want to go, right? They're going to give you the tools and the push necessary to do that, typically. A mentor is someone that's already in that situation where you want to be, and you're seeking out mentorship because they've walked the line to get to where they're at. Okay, so they have the experience, they failed maybe, so they kind of have that insight, so that way you don't walk that line like they did, right? So when you're seeking out a coach and when you're seeking out a mentor, they're two different kind of entities. Okay, so on the bottom left we have the the dean for the College of Business, and so you can kind of see this little interaction with the group, right? We have multiple students talking with the dean. The dean of a college is extremely busy. Their schedule is extremely short in terms of white space, right? Availability to do it, really a lot of things. So with that being said, just keep that in mind, because you may want to meet with the college, the dean, right? For some reason, to seek out mentorship or just kind of do your pitch or just meet them or so on and so forth. But their schedules are really tight. So you may not be able to talk to them. Maybe on a virtual call would be something that would be feasible, on a Zoom for 15 minutes or something like that. But also, seek out your professors, seek out instructors, your advisor, academic advisors, your student success mentor. Seek out these individuals so that way you can kind of develop these relationships now. All right, so from the article, so tips from the article, and this is more in terms of, now we're talking kind of professional instead of like professional career. So adopt a promotion mindset when you're going out and you're finding people to network with. Don't think that you're, don't get soaked up. You're trying to gain something from somebody or manipulate them to give you something, right? Adopt this promotional mindset. You have something to offer to people because you have your own experiences, you have your own skill set, you have your own strengths. So you are able to utilize your skill set to help others and help them in this greater scheme of things. So think broadly about what you can give. Remember, you always have something valuable to offer, but you're finding this higher purpose. You're framing your networking in terms of a larger goal and the collective benefits for, like, this, in this case is your company from the article, but collective benefits from your organization that you represent. Maybe you're a VA representative or something. Maybe you're in a club or something that maybe you're volunteering and you're trying to get resources from other people, right? Or you're trying to get some type of help from people. All right, and then according to the article, so networking, one, leads to more job opportunities for sure. You're going to meet people, they're going to get to know you, they're going to get to know your skill set, and then, hey, they might tell you, I could get you a job because I know the HR representative or something like that. Or you're now working with the HR representative already because you're a student that's interested in working for Lockheed Martin out in White Sands Missile Range. And they have an internship. So you go into the internship and you start networking within the organization. If you're doing well and the people that are working there, they like you, when you get out of college, or when you get out of the university, you are definitely going to be a good candidate to apply for a job there, right? So that's kind of like the mentality behind this. Networking leads to faster advancement, greater status and authority at work. It improves your quality of work because you know folks, right? You're involved. Bill that works in accounting, and Suzanne that works at HR. You're part of the company and you feel invested into that. So that's going to improve your quality of work according to the article. And then lastly, increases your job satisfaction. You feel like you have a purpose within the organization. So therefore you're gonna like your job a lot more. All right, so just some of the tips. We're in a virtual environment. Go to a virtual icebreaker when available. Go to a virtual celebration, like a freshman celebration, or if your class is offering a guest speaker, go to that. Go to that. Ask questions. Get the guest speaker's information, because they usually have they have the information on the last slide. Ask questions, that sort of thing. Before you network, you can do some intel, right? This is counterintelligence, but you can view the individual's LinkedIn or department biography before you contact them. So you kind of see, what the areas of study are for like a department head. Okay, so where did they get their degrees at? Where are they from? You kind of understand this information, and you kind of, what you're going to do is you're going to try to find some commonalities. So another way to do this, so you can volunteer. Always volunteer, actually. If you have an opportunity to volunteer and you have time, go out and do it, because you're going to meet an array of folks. You're going to get experience in doing whatever you're going to do in the volunteer role. But really it's about developing the relationships as you're volunteering. Communicate with your professors, your instructors during the semester office hours, right? Or make an appointment. Utilize these office hours, for the good, right? This is when you can develop the relationship, ask questions about class, get some clarity, maybe get some mentorship. Because if you want to be a lawyer, you're a criminal justice major and you want to be a lawyer, talk to your academic advisor on, ways you can try to contact local lawyers or something like that. And you can do this through an appointment. Okay, and then lastly, so coaches and mentors and peers. So we talked about coaches, we talked about mentors, but we didn't talk about peers too much. So with peers, fellow classmates, right? So they're going through some of the situations you're going through. And sometimes classmates have like really good ideas and they have different backgrounds, right? So they have different circles that they like of people that they know. This is a prime opportunity, to have a friendship with somebody, or just have a professional working relationship with somebody, and get and be like, hey, like, I'm like really good at math. I know that you had an internship at Raytheon or Lockheed. How did you do that? How did you get through that? Is there somebody that I can talk to over there? Utilize your peers in that form and fashion, and you're definitely going to get on your way for networking. All right, so switching gears. So we got SMART goals. All right, so SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So this is a way, a very popular way, actually. If you Google this, like there's a bunch of resources on this. But this is a way to develop goals, like legit goals, and this is going to help you achieve the goal. So when we're thinking about specific goals, what exactly are we trying to achieve? And we're going to kind of form this goal in the bottom. Let me go ahead and just click through. So this student is an accounting student, all right? Their goal right now is to study for their accounting exam that's going to be next week. So is a specific kind of, it's good, right? But we can get better. So the better mode is, I want to make an A on the next accounting exam, and it's happening in 3 weeks, right? So we're kind of getting a little bit left of the event, giving us some time to really dive into the material. And then to have this process, starting Monday, I'm going to study for the chapter notes every day for an hour. And then 2 days before the exam, I'm going to review all the notes and then we're going to take the test, right? So measurable. How do you know when you achieve it? So I want to make an A. That's my goal. So that's my measure, right? Attainable. Is it impossible to achieve? I think with the first goal, I think it's impossible. Maybe not impossible, but it's a lot harder to just study for a week. You know, of course, there's other factors. Okay, is it a huge midterm or is it just like a weekly exam? But generally, you want to give yourself a couple of weeks or 3 weeks if you can and start chipping away at the material. And that's a lot more, I think, attainable than, just 1 week. Is it relevant? So is this goal, for one, how does the goal and how to get to the goal affect me and how is it going to affect my family? So I'm diving in for about an hour a day, 3 weeks in advance. So if something pops up for the family, I have to take the kids or I have to cook or something like that, I have some time to figure that out, right? Okay, and then an hour a day, that's pretty doable. And you still, function as a family and as a parent or as a worker or whatever. Time bound. So I said in 3 weeks, right? And then starting Monday, so I have a start time, I have a finish time. So it's time bound. When am I going to achieve this? So that's how you develop this SMART goals. So when we're talking about goals, think 50 meter, 100 meter, and 300 meter targets. So those of us that might not understand that mentality, because this is kind of like a military reference, a 50-meter target, that's something short, right? That's right in front of you. That's going to be maybe in weeks. 150 meter, that's kind of this mid-range target. So this is probably going to be like a month. 300 meter is going to be multiple months, okay? So make goals in each of these kind of categories to help you get to your overall goal, whatever that may be. Reflect on failure, success, and so when you're reflecting on failure throughout this process, you can also reflect on your success. So you might have to adjust. You might have to kind of reflect and see if this process worked and what worked. And then plan specifically on how you're going to achieve this goal. Get into the details. Starting Monday, 1 hour a day. And then 2 days before the exam, I kind of review everything. That's the how and how you're going to achieve the goal. And then lastly, consider the effects on your family. There's going to be a little bit of time in the day to study and to do everything you got to do and wear the different hats. Just always keep that in mind when you are developing your goals. Okay. This is the last topic. So we are a little bit over on time, but I'll go through it and I'll push through. So plagiarism is extremely important in the sense that we don't want you to plagiarize, right? So plagiarism, by definition, plagiarism is using someone else's ideas or words without giving them credit. And these are topics that are not common knowledge, right? These are topics that maybe if you're reading an article and you're using part of the article in your paper that's a sociology paper or something like that, you have to cite it. And so there's actually several main styles, but the main styles that you're going to see as an undergrad, APA, American Psychological Association, and MLA, Modern Language Association. The difference between them, they have different rules. So they have different rules and guidelines from in-text citations to what font to use and what size of font to use, to the size of your headings and how to label your references page or works cited page. So the consequences, if you don't give credit, you can fail that class and you can actually be kicked out of the school, right? You can be placed on academic probation. Or you could just you're not going to get credit for that assignment. So what should you do, right? So this is my reference that I've been utilizing. This is my tool, my resource that I've been utilizing for years. It's University of Purdue. They have an online writing lab, or OWL. They say Purdue OWL. The link is in the bottom right here, or you can just go on Google, search Purdue OWL, and it'll take you to their website. But they will tell you when to cite, how to cite, and then they kind of break down and give you examples on how to cite APA style and MLA style, and anything else that kind of comes your way as you're doing your academics. All right, we got next event. So there's other seminars that are happening. We have a seminar coming up on the 10th of October. Dr. Kenny's going to be leading that one at 5 MDT. We got Mr. Jared Gonzalez going to be doing social justice and higher education on the 16th of October. And then the 9th of October, we have Shelby Sears doing career head start. All right, so in closing, so I appreciate you looking at the seminar, and thank you for attending. For those who did attend, thank you for the interaction, and appreciate that. So this is my contact info. So if you want to contact me for any reason, feel free to call, email me, or you could schedule an appointment through Navigate, and I'll be looking forward to speaking with you. So once again, thank you for attending the seminar, and I wish you the best. Please contact me if you have any issues or concerns, and have a good day.